Hello everyone, it's Leon here from Kotaku UK, and I am joined by Chris Ashton, who's one of the co-founders of Turtle Rock, and was it design director on Evolve?
Yep, yeah, that's correct.
So we've seen new characters today. We've got 4 variations of the classes that have already been revealed. Can you sort of talk a little bit more about them and why you've gone for multiple kind of implementations of the classes?
Yeah, so 4 new characters. So we've got Hyde's the new assault, Lazarus the new medic, Bucket, he's a robot, new support character, and Maggie, she's a new trapper. She's got a pet trap jaw that helps her sniff out the monster. You know, primarily we're looking for how can we change the game, right, in very meaningful and interesting and cool ways. And so one of the best ways to do that is everybody loves characters, everybody loved the Left 4 Dead characters, so we thought in Evolve it made a lot of sense to make a lot of characters. Instead of just the 4, let's make a lot of different characters, and let's give them all different gear, right, so that they have different ways to play the game. So you might fall in love with a character's personality, but also they'll have a particular play style. They play a lot differently than each other. So the idea is people will wind up mixing and picking their favorites, and that's going to change the game a lot. You know, as the monster, how do I deal with this combination, this specific combination of characters, as opposed to this other combination of characters? Yeah.
You saying about picking your favorites, because I like the trapper. I immediately sort of gone with Maggie and the harpoon gun. Obviously, you have to have all 4 roles in the game, and so you can choose a preference. Then it will look for games with that character you like. How does it work when you go to play it? Because obviously you can't you can't have everyone playing medic or everyone playing assault.
That's correct. Yeah. So right now, I mean, we're still working on the system. We're still working on the game, right? But we know that, like you said, you like being trapper a lot. I actually also like being the trapper a lot. I like medic a lot too.
Yeah.
So you know, what we're looking at right now is people being able to set preferences. So I can say trapper's my number 1, medic's my number 2, maybe monster's my number 3. And then when we go to do matchmaking, we take that stuff into account and try to slot you into games where you're most likely to get your number 1 choice. And if not, your number 2 shouldn't be too bad.
Yeah.
So you know, it's a big. We know that people have favorites, and we want to just try to do as much as we can to enable them to get what they want.
Yeah. An interesting thing you said yesterday, you were talking about this idea of sort of infinite replayability, and obviously the large amount of characters is working towards that. I mean, do you think that's something that is achievable? Because often with sort of online sort of, especially co-op modes, there's that sort of big burst of initial, everyone gets together, friends have a laugh, and then maybe it tails off a bit once everyone's had a massive sort of burst of exposure.
I think that it's achievable, and I think there are some games out there that have done it, right? You know, even if it's a completely different genre and format. League of Legends, for example, a game that continues to thrive, and you know, they're not looking at doing a sequel to League of Legends. So you know, that's kind of what we're looking for long term, is like we want a big cast to begin with of characters. We want a variety of game modes, environment types, ways to play the game, different monsters, different hunters, so there's a lot to dig into when we first get the game. But we don't want to go jump onto a sequel and do sort of the next thing. We want to keep playing in this space and keep coming up with new modes and new characters and new monsters, and make the community part of that process. You know, so when players, let's respond to players. If they really like, suppose people really like medics, and everybody's crying for a new medic that does X. You know, we'd like to build it.
So it's not going to be a case of you launch and then there'll be some DLC and maybe a few patches, like launches the beginning, if you like.
Yeah, that's our hope. You know, if the game does well and the community's there and people respond to that thing, that'll enable us to keep doing more. Yeah.
So I mean, you've got there's new monsters, which obviously not talking about yet, but so we could see like another band of characters down the line, like another variation of medics.
Yeah, there's more. So right now, from now on, for the rest of press, you'll always have there's 8 hunters to choose from, right? And that's not all that we're going to ship with. There's more. Okay. So it's quite a large cast to launch the game with, and we haven't even gotten into modes yet. Or you know, we announced that there were more than a dozen maps. So I think there were some people worried about how many maps we were going to have in the beginning, but we'll have a lot. And all of those, you know, there's different wildlife and stuff in different maps, and so you have to learn how to adjust and how to deal with things like Megamouth and Dune Beetles versus Tyrants.
Okay, so and how hard has it been then to create all these characters? Because something I noticed when I was playing yesterday is how tightly the roles fit. So you have to play as a medic if you're the medic. You have to play as a trapper. You can't sort of, some games you have a support character and they basically use it as a different kind of soldier.
Right.
But they're very tightly interwoven. How difficult has it been to not only make them work in the first place, but then make the variations work?
Yeah, it's actually just been a lot of fun. I mean, to be honest, like. We feel like we're sort of just scratching the surface of what we can do with the game, with the types of monsters we can have and the types of hunters and their gear and the things we can do. So this is just sort of the initial pass. Like Val and Lazarus are a really good example, right? If you really want to simplify them and say, okay, Val is kind of like the health kit and Lazarus is like a defib. Yeah. Right. Those are both medic-y things to do, but they're completely different ways of playing the game. Yeah. And so what's the next? We know there's going to be another medic. What's the next medic going to be? How is that medic going to heal, or slide into that role? So. Certainly no shortage of ideas and things we want to explore. You seem
to be quite sort of fluid with it, because when you showed it yesterday, the monster had already sort of ironically evolved from the last time you'd shown it off.
Right.
How sort of how flexible is it to be able to move things around according to sort of play tests and feedback?
So that's our process, and that's what we've been doing for over 3.5 years now. Is playing the game, experiencing it, and iterating and trying, and let's push it this way, let's push it that way, let's adjust to what people like, and call out stuff that people don't like. So that's our process, and that's how we work best. So we wound up with a really wide variety of content because we're able to prototype things so quickly.
Yeah.
So now for us internally for the next handful of months is really just taking all of that stuff and polishing it up to the quality level of the characters that you saw today. But
okay, so the monster as well. You talked yesterday about stealth, and it's obviously not something I've seen in action yet, and obviously we didn't try it out in the demo yesterday. But the monster can be sort of stealthy, so it's not just a case of 4 guys chasing a big thing. He can actually try and kind of hide and sort of avoid tells. Can you sort of talk a little bit more about how that works?
Yeah, and that's something that happens, over the course of like playing hundreds of games. Is as the hunters get better, the monster also has to adapt. So a monster now, I'll find myself in a game where I'm trapped. I've gone to sort of a dead end area of the map, and now the hunters are closing in. How do I get out of there, right? New players who are playing the game right now, they're not going to. They're going to wind up in a battle. But as an experienced player now, you can go into stealth mode, which he crawls around on all fours. Goliath does at least. And he doesn't make any sound, and he doesn't leave tracks, which means now I'm just trying to avoid. So it's scary because you're moving slower. And you don't want to be seen, so what you want to do is move really fast, and that's what everybody tends to do. New players tend to just run and go as fast as they can, but experienced players at a high level start to sneak. And I've missed monsters that were in a bush, just 10 feet away from us, and we've just run right past him. And that player later, after the round's over, says, "No, I was there. You guys walked right by me and didn't even see me." So it's like hide and go seek, on a higher level.
So how do you? You're talking about obviously high level monsters, high level players. You can play as any one of the 5 slots, if you like. And how do you sort of build the sort of the character and level up and carry that progression across when you sort of effectively every time you sit down you could be playing something at random,
right?
How do you make that work if you want to put like lots into one character, or
Yeah, so the way that it works is that as you play characters, you're going to earn XP, which is going to unlock perks. If you unlock a perk that works for the Merc team, it'll work on any character.
So there's a general leveling up across all of.
Yeah,
gotcha.
Across. So you'll be able to improve the stats of your characters a little bit. Of those individual characters that you focus on, you also unlock perks that you can use on that character or other characters. And same goes for monster.
Yeah. So we've seen one new map now, which is was it Desert?
Yeah, it's called the Dam. It's a big hydroelectric. Yes.
And that has introduced the Dune Beetle, which is one of the new monsters.
There's a Dune Beetle in there. Wildlife. It's a new batch of wildlife.
Yes.
So there's a Dune Beetle, which is a big tanky. Kind of like a 6-legged insect, but he's huge.
Yeah.
Right. There's a Megamouth, who looks like a giant toad, but he looks like a rock.
Yes.
And he'll ambush you. So you walk by this rock, and then suddenly the rock moves and grabs you. He'll swallow hunters whole and digest them. So for Lazarus, who can bring people back from the dead, if somebody gets eaten by a megamouth, there's no body to bring back. So you can kind of see how even the wildlife can affect characters, individual characters.
Yeah, that caught me by surprise when I played it yesterday, where we all just charged off, and I was eaten by a plant, someone got attacked by a megamouth, and it was like, oh, there's other stuff here. Like, a bit of a surprise.
Right.
do they serve specific roles? Is there like a kind of monster serving a certain role on each map, or is each map different?
All the maps are a little bit different. We let the guys kind of populate the maps, the level designers, how they want to.
Yeah.
But we do have, there's obviously prey creatures. There's like indicator creatures. So there's the birds that scare out of the trees and stuff that alert the hunters to the monster's presence. So there's different types. There's ambush predators. There's the dune beetle is a roaming predator. So think of it like a hazard, but it's moving around the map. So even if you're standing still, this area can become dangerous because this dune beetle roams into that area. So they do kind of fit into different roles and functions. Obviously, they're always food for the monster, but even for the monster, things like trap jaws. Maggie's pet is a trap jaw, but trap jaws are scavengers. They're like hyenas. And if you ever watched like Animal Planet or anything like the hyenas will chase lions away from a fresh kill. Trap jaws do the same thing to the monster. So the wildlife is not just working against the hunters; it can also work against the monster as well. So
there were elite monsters as well, or
right?
Is it elite monsters? And the monster can actually get perks.
Both teams can get perks.
Okay.
Temporary buffs, which are very powerful. And again, it's not something that you might notice first time you play the game. But the 100th game, both teams will kind of struggle for control or to be able to get those creatures and get those perks so they have a temporary advantage over the other team. Okay,
and do the maps, what sort of scale, range of scales are there on the maps? Because the map I played yesterday was just sort of big enough to lose the monster and, you could get sort of turned around.
The map we played yesterday was smaller than the previous one that's been shown. We tried to have a wide variety. We tried to go bigger, we tried to go wider, we tried to have maps that are skinny. So we're really just looking to mix up the game for everybody and to change and so when you load into a map, you've got to sort of think, okay, right now, what am I going to do in this map? How am I going to stay away from the hunters as the monster, and where am I going to go as a hunter to try to trap the monster? So,
cool. Okay, and you are aiming for, what was the release date again?
It's the end of this year.
End of this year, brilliant. Thank you very much.
Yep.